School teaches you how to behave, not how to succeed. And that difference shapes your entire life. From the moment you're young, you're trained to sit still, raise your hand, wait your turn, follow instructions, do what you're told, when you're told, the way you're told. If you do that well, you're called smart. If you don't, you're labeled a problem. That system doesn't create successful people. It creates compliant ones. And compliance works great inside classrooms, but quietly fails you in the real world, because success does not reward obedience. It rewards initiative. But initiative is the one thing school systematically discourages. You're taught to wait for permission, to wait for instructions, to wait for approval. And waiting becomes a habit that follows you long after school ends. That's the first thing they never teach you. Success does not come to people who wait. It comes to people who move before certainty, before permission, before comfort. But school trains you to do the opposite. It punishes you for acting without instruction. So you learn something dangerous. Don't move unless someone tells you to. That lesson sticks. Now, let's talk about grades, because this is where the damage deepens. Grades teach you to chase external validation. You learn to work for marks, for praise, for approval, not for mastery, not for curiosity, not for long-term payoff. So your motivation becomes conditional. You work when someone is watching. You perform when there's a test. You relax when there isn't. That creates a pattern. You become productive only under supervision. And success does not supervise you. No one is checking your homework in real life. No one is grading your effort. No one is giving you gold stars for consistency. So people freeze. They wait for structure. They wait for deadlines. They wait for accountability. And while they wait, nothing happens. School never teaches you how to self-direct. It teaches you how to comply with direction. That's a massive difference. Now here's the uncomfortable truth. The students who do best in school are often the worst prepared for success. Not always, but often, because they confuse being good at instructions with being good at life. They learn how to follow systems, not how to build them. And the real world rewards builders, not rule followers. School teaches you to minimize mistakes. Success requires you to learn from them. In school, mistakes lower your grade. In real life, mistakes teach you faster than success ever will. But because mistakes were punished early, you avoid them later. You play it safe. You choose predictable paths. You avoid risk. You stay average. Not because you lack ability, because you were trained to fear being wrong. School never teaches you that being wrong early is an advantage. It teaches you that being wrong is failure. So you grow up avoiding situations where you might look foolish. You don't speak up. You don't try things you're unsure about. You don't start until you feel ready. And readiness never arrives. Here's another thing school never teaches. Success is not about intelligence. It's about tolerance. Tolerance for uncertainty. Tolerance for boredom. Tolerance for delayed rewards. School gives you constant feedback, tests, grades, schedules, progress reports. The real world gives you silence, no feedback, no reassurance, no clear timeline. And most people can't handle that silence. They need to know they're doing it right. They need to feel progress, so they quit when nothing happens fast. School never teaches you how to work without feedback. It conditions you to expect it constantly. That's why people lose motivation so quickly outside structured environments. They don't know how to operate without validation. Now let's talk about time. School trains you to think in short cycles, class periods, semesters, terms. Everything has a clear end. Clear reward, clear reset. Success doesn't work like that. Success is long, messy, undefined. You don't know when it pays off. You don't know if you're ahead or behind. You don't know if it's working. School never teaches you how to operate inside long timelines. It teaches you how to sprint for short rewards. So when real success demands years of effort with no guarantee, most people give up. They weren't trained for patience. They were trained for deadlines. Now here's the most damaging lesson school teaches without saying it. Someone else will decide what matters. Curriculums decide. Teachers decide. Exams decide. You are rarely asked to decide what's worth pursuing, what you care about, what you want to build. So you graduate with skills, but no direction. You're good at completing tasks, but terrible at choosing them. That's why so many people feel lost after school. They did everything right and still don't know what to do next. School never teaches you how to choose a direction. It teaches you how to follow one. Now let's talk about money. School avoids it entirely. You learn math, but not money. You learn history, but not economics of personal power. You learn science, but not leverage. No one teaches you how wealth actually works. Ownership, compounding, risk, value creation. So money feels mysterious, intimidating, taboo. And when something feels mysterious, people avoid it. They say, I'm just not good with money, but they were never taught. School never teaches you that income is not the same as wealth, that working hard does not equal getting rich. That time traded for money has a ceiling, so people grow up thinking success means a good job, a stable paycheck, security, and they chase safety their entire lives, only to realize too late that safety capped their upside. School never teaches you about leverage, leverage of skills, leverage of systems, leverage of ownership. Because leverage makes obedience irrelevant, and obedience is what school runs on. Now let's talk about competition. School teaches you to compete for grades, for rank, for approval. That kind of competition is zero-sum. Someone wins, someone loses. Success is not zero-sum, it's value-sum. You don't win by beating others. You win by creating something useful. School never teaches you how to create value. It teaches you how to perform. Performance gets applause. Creation gets results. Those are not the same. That's why top students often struggle when structure disappears. They were trained to perform, not to build. Now let's talk about failure. In school, failure is final. A bad grade stays. A record remains. So you learn to avoid it. But in real life, failure is temporary, adjustable, often invisible. The people who succeed fail more than anyone else. They just fail privately and early. School never teaches you that failing fast is good. It teaches you to hide mistakes, to fear judgment, to protect image. And image protection kills growth. Now, let's talk about creativity. School teaches you there is one correct answer, one method, one solution. Success rarely has one correct answer. It rewards people who experiment, who test, who break patterns. School trains you to stay inside lines. Success requires you to draw new ones. That's why creative thinkers often struggle in school, and disciplined rule followers struggle in real life. The system rewards the wrong traits for the wrong environment. Now here's the quiet truth. School prepares you for employment, not independent. It prepares you to be evaluated, not to evaluate. It prepares you to be managed, not to manage yourself. And there's nothing wrong with employment, but success requires more. It requires self-trust, self-direction, self-discipline without oversight. Those are never taught. So people leave school waiting for someone to tell them what's next, and no one ever does. Now notice something important. Everything school teaches is based on certainty, clear answers, clear paths, clear outcomes. Success lives in uncertainty. No syllabus, no grading rubric, no guarantee. And people who spent their entire lives in certainty environments panic when it disappears. They crave structure, they crave clarity, they crave safety, and they choose predictable lives. Not because they want them, but because they're familiar. This is why school doesn't produce successful people by default. It produces people optimized for systems, not for chaos. Success is chaos. Unclear, unfair, unstructured, and you were never trained for that. Now, let's be very clear. School is not evil. Teachers are not villains. The system does what it was designed to do. Create reliable workers, not independent thinkers, not builders, not leaders. Those traits are dangerous to systems. so they're discouraged, quietly, subtly, through punishment of deviation, through reward of compliance. Now here's the part that matters. You can't undo your education, but you can unlearn the wrong lessons. But first, you have to see them, and seeing them hurts, because it means realizing that many of your limitations were installed, not chosen. Because once you see what school never taught you, you have to learn what actually creates success. Once school ends, the rules disappear. No bell rings to tell you when to start. No syllabus explains what matters next. No grades confirm you're doing it right. And this is where most people freeze, because everything they relied on for progress is gone. School trained you to succeed inside systems. Success outside systems requires something else entirely: ownership. Ownership of time. Ownership of direction. Ownership of consequences. This is the mindset schools never teach because it can't be graded. You are responsible for choosing what matters, not a teacher, not a manager, not a curriculum. That responsibility feels heavy at first, because responsibility removes excuses. If you don't move, it's on you. If you stay stuck, it's on you. If nothing changes, it's on you. School protected you from that weight. Real success demands you carry it. Here's the first thing you must unlearn: waiting for permission. Outside school, permission never comes. No one tells you when to start. No one tells you which path is best. No one tells you if it will work. People who succeed don't wait. They move with incomplete information. They test instead of asking. They act before they feel confident, and they accept being wrong early. School punished that behavior. Success rewards it. That's the inversion you were never taught. Now let's talk about effort, because this is another place school lies to you. School teaches that effort equals reward. Study hard, good grades. Follow rules, approval. Success does not work like that. Effort without direction is ignored. Effort without leverage is invisible. Effort without ownership is capped. This is why so many hard-working people stay stuck. They're applying effort in low-leverage places. School never teaches leverage. Leverage is doing work once that pays repeatedly. Skills that stack. Systems that scale. Assets that compound. Instead, school trains you to reset every day. Homework resets. Tests reset. Grades reset next term. You get used to starting over. Success is the opposite. Success is accumulation. Tiny advantages stacked over time. And because you weren't trained to think that way, you undervalue small, boring progress. You quit too early. You abandon things right before compounding begins. Now let's talk about identity, because this is the real shift. School gives you labels: smart, average, bad at math, creative. Those labels stick, and people live up to them. Success doesn't care about labels. It responds to behavior. But if you still identify as the good student or the average one, your behavior follows that script. You won't take risks. You won't deviate. You won't challenge yourself beyond what feels familiar. So the identity you were given becomes the ceiling you never cross. To succeed, you have to rewrite it, not out loud, internally, from "I'm good at following instructions" to "I decide what matters and act." From "I need structure" to "I create structure." From "tell me what to do" to "I'll test and adjust." That identity shift is uncomfortable because it removes safety nets, but it's the only path forward. Now, let's talk about feedback, because this is where most people quit. School gives you constant feedback, right or wrong, pass or fail. Success gives you silence, long stretches of silence. No confirmation, no applause, no certainty. And silence feels like failure to people trained on grades. So they stop. They assume it's not working. They go back to something that gives feedback: jobs, tasks, busy work. Success requires you to tolerate silence, to keep going without reassurance, to trust process over praise. That tolerance is a skill. School never taught it. You have to build it now. Another thing school never teaches is asymmetric risk. School treats all mistakes equally. One wrong answer costs points. In real life, not all risks are equal. Some risks cost little and teach a lot. Some cost everything and teach nothing. Successful people learn to distinguish the two. They take small, survivable risks often. They avoid large, irreversible ones carefully. School never teaches you to classify risk. It teaches you to avoid it. So you grow up risk-averse. And risk-averse people don't build anything new. They maintain what exists. Maintenance doesn't create success. Creation does. Now let's talk about time again. Because this is where education really fails people. School trains you to respond to urgency, deadlines, exams, schedules. Success requires you to act without urgency, before things are on fire, before pressure forces your hand. People who wait until they're desperate make bad decisions. People who act early choose better paths. School never teaches proactive thinking. It teaches reactive compliance. So, people wait until pain forces change. Then they rush. Then they choose poorly. Then they blame circumstances. This cycle repeats forever. Now here's the hardest truth. School teaches you to seek approval. Success requires you to risk disapproval. Teachers, parents, peers. Approval was safety, so you learn to optimize for it. But approval rewards sameness. Success rewards deviation. You cannot stand out while trying to fit in, and you cannot succeed beyond your environment while seeking its permission. That doesn't mean arrogance. It means independence, the willingness to look wrong before being right, the willingness to be misunderstood temporarily. School punished that. Success demands it. Now let's talk about why this feels so hard, because unlearning is harder than learning. You're not starting from zero. You're undoing conditioning that rewarded you for decades. That's why reading this feels obvious but difficult. You understand it intellectually, but emotionally, it feels risky. That's normal, because you're stepping outside a system that defines safety for most of your life. Now here's the practical shift. You stop asking, what's the correct path? And start asking, what experiment can I run? Experiments remove pressure. They allow mistakes. They encourage learning. You don't need certainty. You need feedback. Feedback comes from action. So instead of committing forever, you commit temporarily. 30 days, 90 days. Test, observe, adjust. This is how successful people operate. They don't wait to be sure. They move to learn. School never taught you that. Now the final challenge. This is not motivational. It's structural. Choose one area of your life where you're still waiting for permission. Career, money, skill, health. Identify the rule you're following that came from school. Do it the safe way. Wait for approval. Don't make mistakes. Then break it deliberately but intelligently. Take one action without permission, not reckless, intentional. Something small but real. Send the message. Start the project. Learn the skill. No announcement. No validation, just movement. That single act begins the rewiring, and once you experience self-directed progress, something changes. You stop waiting, you stop asking, you start building. If this made you see school and success differently, leave a comment with one word, unlearned. And subscribe if you want more of this. Not advice designed for classrooms, but thinking designed for real life. Because school taught you how to survive systems. Success requires you to outgrow them. And once you do, everything changes. And that requires replacing obedience with ownership.